In the previous episode of Launch Title Madness, we saw the Nintendo GameCube's rogue leader take Rayman from the PS1 and stuff his little ass into a locker and then fart through the vents and say, "How do you like that, buddy?" And we also saw Luigi's Mansion take on Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and Luigi proved once and for all that a flashlight is far more valuable than a flag. In today's episode of Launch Title Madness, we see a little kid named Alex from the Sega Genesis take on Tekken Tag from the good old PlayStation 2. We also see Resistance Fall of Man hit the slopes against the snowboarding legend SSX. It is about to get rowdy. We're gonna see snow flying, bodies flying. We might even see the fall of man. You have arrived at episode 6 of Launch Title Madness.
Welcome to Gaming Off the Grid. Boom shakalaka!
Alright, you have arrived at episode 6 of Launch Title Madness. This whole Madness thing is our favorite mini-series, and this is season 2 of the Madness series on the channel.
It's so much fun, but it's so stressful, and I love how pissed off people get in the comments.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, we've ruffled some feathers. I think the last episode didn't ruffle as many, but there's been plenty of feathers ruffled. And if you're new and just clicking on this, stay tuned for sure, but there's a bunch of Madness stuff that you need to go back and check out. So, you just want to be brought up to speed on things. But in today's episode, we have the Sega Genesis launch title of Alex Kidd versus Tekken Tag from the PS2.
Yes, which Tekken Tag, this is its second time returning, because it was in the preliminary round.
Yeah.
And then we have Resistance Fall of Man versus SSX on the PlayStation 2. So we have two PS2 games. But before we jump into the first match, we have to look at the fighters.
It's time to go bowling, 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 bowling. Keep bowling, 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 bowling. Tekken Tag Tournament on the PlayStation 2. Yeah, that's right. They had a mini game in Tekken Tag called Tekken Bowl. It was a lot of fun, and so was Tekken Tag. In a very rare occurrence, Tekken Tag arrived on the PlayStation 2 with enhanced graphics from its arcade counterpart. Tekken Tag has already advanced through one battle in Launch Title Madness. Does it have enough lead in its pencil to continue moving forward in Launch Title Madness? Time will tell.
Alex Kidd in the Enchanted Castle is the 5th entry in the Alex Kidd series and helped launch the Sega Genesis. With 11 stages of 16-bit side-scrolling platforming, does this kid named Alexander have what it takes to advance in Launch Title Madness? I mean, after all, he's just a boy.
I'm just a kid.
Alright, there you have it. A little bit about these contenders. Alex Kidd on the Sega Genesis coming up against Tekken Tag on the PS2.
Two very different games.
This is tough because I think some folks watching might be thinking Alex Kidd in the Enchanted Castle, which I believe is the full name of it on the Genesis. They might be getting that confused with the Alex Kidd game on the Sega Master System, which is a badass platformer. But Alex Kidd on the Sega Genesis...
Ooh.
In the Enchanted Castle should be probably called Alex Kidd in the Enchanted Butthole.
Dude,
I wouldn't say it's a completely broken game, but it's a complete letdown if you've played the Master System version and you're like, dude, the sequel, 16-bit era.
And if you've never played an Alex Kidd game and you play the Enchanted Castle, you're like, this is kind of boring.
I feel like Ghouls and Ghosts was probably the hype train around the Genesis at the time. I don't think Alex Kidd, now that might have been a game people like, oh, I'll get that one as well because I liked it on the Master System. But I know, like in the US, the Master System didn't have a great foothold. So Alex Kidd on the Genesis in the Enchanted Butthole is not a very good game.
Well,
it's just not.
What's weird is it's not the greatest game, but it's one of those games that Sega has been pushing since it came out. It's on every freaking compilation. It's on just everything they put out. It's like, oh, Alex Kidd, Alex Kidd, Alex Kidd.
Yep.
So it's like this household name just because Sega keeps pushing. You know what I mean?
I don't know how you were, but when we got like the Genesis Classics, and then I think we both have the collection on the PS4 and all that type of stuff. But I, not knowing what I didn't know about the Master System version, I kind of just... Well, I knew that was an awesome game, so I kind of assumed the Genesis game was like, oh, this has got to be badass. And I played through, like, the first couple, 3, 4, 5 levels, and I'm like...
You're like,
this game's not that badass.
Yeah.
And then you pit that against Tekken Tag.
Which,
arguably the best entry in the entire Tekken franchise, which is saying a lot.
And it is such a beautiful game. So I know in the last time we talked about Tekken Tag, we're not the biggest fighting game fans.
No.
But, dude, Tekken Tag Tournament, oh my god.
There's something,
it's such a fantastic PS2 launch title.
Yeah, there's something, I don't know, that multiplayer element and the fact that you can play, up to 4 people, it's just a different, it makes you almost like if you're playing with someone who is good at fighting games, like, oh, I can tag along and I can be of assistance.
Like a little brother or something.
Yeah, and then, there's some mini games involved with Tekken Tag that make it a lot of fun.
Yeah, apparently there's bowling.
Yeah.
We found out about that the last time we talked about this.
Yeah.
And I've never experienced that, but I need to. There's bowling?
It's one of those things, I kind of, because every time we got screen cap, we were just playing together, whatever, and I kind of forgot about it, but then when they mentioned it, I'm like, dude, there is bowling. Like, I remember doing that.
What a weird offering.
Yeah.
It's just icing on the cake of an awesome fighting game.
Yeah, so, to me, correct me if you're feeling different, but I think this is just an ass whooping. I mean, Tekken Tag would bring Alex Kidd into that and just beat the living shit
I was
out
just
of him.
picturing him just pow,
yeah,
pow, pow.
I think this is about as lopsided of a matchup as you can get.
Yeah, I think Tekken Tag Tournament has to move on. So Tekken Tag Tournament has won twice in a row.
Yeah, which is pretty impressive.
It's very impressive for a PS2 launch title.
Yeah.
But now let's move on to the next matchup. We have Resistance Fall of Man versus SSX, the original, on the PS2.
Yeah.
Let's look at these contenders. With ramps, rails, and epic jumps, SSX won multiple awards and was a standout game in the PS2 launch library. Being the first EA Big published game and starting the whole SSX series, does this arcade-style snowboarding game have what it takes to win the gold, or will it fall flat on its face in a pile of snow? Which I've done many times myself. Time will tell.
If you were alive and coherent when the PS3 launched, you're aware of Resistance Fall of Man. It's a sci-fi first-person shooter developed by Insomniac, and at the time, wow, it was a must-play. After all these years, when we revisit Resistance Fall of Man, does it have the same charm, the same allure to draw you in as it did when it launched on the PlayStation 3? Let's find out. All right, this is a very unique battle, I feel like, because the PS3 launch was a lot more of a narrow scope as far as games offered comparatively to the PS2.
Yes.
The PS2 launched with a ton of titles.
So many games.
So it's hard to navigate. Honestly, at least from what I remember, a lot of people that were getting the PS2 when it first came out, they were like, I want to play the new Madden.
Yeah. It wasn't... So, there was a lot of games that people weren't excited about,
Yeah.
But SSX was an amazing game. It started an amazing franchise, arcade snowboarding.
Yeah,
if you're a fan of Tony Hawk, you were like, hell yes.
Really cool soundtrack, the stylistic aspect of it. And, when I played it, the only snowboarding game to date that I had played up to SSX was 1080 on the N64.
And this was leaps and bounds.
And this was like, dude, this is what was going on in my brain when I was playing that game. Do you guys remember when you played like some retro games that you almost were imagining something different that was going on?
Kind of like the original Grand Theft Autos?
Yeah.
Or like Driver or something?
Well, I think a lot about like when I used to play 10-Yard Fight back in the day. It was the only football game I had growing up, right? And I remember like, oh yeah, dude, I'm returning this with Desmond Howard.
Like, they don't have names?
Yes, no, they don't have names. But anyway, that time that I played SSX for the first time, I was like, this is exactly what I've always wanted in a snowboarding game. You pair that up against Resistance Fall of Man, which arguably was the top tier launch title in a sea of very few on the PS3, where SSX was in a sea of many. Resistance Fall of Man and its sequel are very serviceable first-person shooters.
Yes, they're very cool, but it's in that genre or that time period of where everything was first-person shooters.
Yeah, and
everything.
Yeah, is it fair to say it's good?
And I love how
it's kind of forgettable. Like,
it is kind of forgettable, and I don't think it's a common game. I don't think it's a common household name. I don't think a lot of people know. True gamers do.
Yeah, for sure.
Like a lot of people, and what's cool about Resistance Fall of Man compared to other first-person shooters is it's kind of sci-fi. Because you're like in the UK and there's an alien invasion, so it's not just human versus human.
But
so that's
when
cool.
you put it in its like era, right? It wasn't even the best first-person shooter, like even in its first year that it was out, because you've got your Halos on the 360, and you had Gears of War coming out. I try thinking of first-person shooters in games that like it takes a lot to move the needle for me, and I think back to a game like Black that was on Xbox, PS2. I would much rather, and it wasn't a launch title, but my point is something about Resistance Fall of Man. Good game, and at the time when you played it, it's like, dude, these graphics are kick-ass, but there's something so forgettable over time about it, where if that had been a game like Black, which did enough things different, that's like, holy shit, I will never forget the first time I played Black. I'll never not play that game and go through it probably every 2 to 3 years. I don't have this big burning desire to go back and play Resistance Fall of Man, where the SSX games, anytime we get like a console that we pick up, we recently got a PS2, and we were testing it. SSX is the blue disc game that I grabbed to test, just because it's fun to jump in and play.
It is tough, though, because when I think of SSX, I think I'd rather play the second or third one.
Or Tricky.
Because because it took what SSX did and made it better, but it's hard comparing that because those are in the discussion, those are in the fight.
I think this gets some merit for being the first
it started.
Yeah.
And it is still fun to go back to.
Yeah.
But now that I play the other ones, I'm like, okay, this one's kind of dated. This one, there's things I wish I could do. But for the time, I think it was mind-blowing.
Yeah, it really was. And I think Resistance Fall of Man might have done more to move units for the Sony PlayStation 3. But I think the better game that has staying power and that maybe people at the time did or didn't know how good it was, I think SSX has to move on here.
It's a tough thing because people got upset when we were comparing the better game because this is launch title.
Yeah.
So we gotta look about. But it's also, this is just our opinions and what we think of it compared to the launch. You got to remember that.
And there's perspective now. We're looking back, and
how big are these compared to the launch?
I don't think. I think SSX. If you have these games in your collection, I think you would have been more happy and more fulfilled had you bought SSX at launch versus Resistance Fall of Man, which is not a bad game.
No, it's. I have so much fun playing it.
Yeah, but I think SSX, I just think that game, that's a killer launch title for the PS2.
And it falls into a category of games that we absolutely love.
Yeah, and
arcade sports.
Now it's got to go on, and it's weird. A couple PS2 games, which actually won the Console Madness series, which was controversial. Not intentional. That's just how we feel. But now we've got Tekken Tag moving on in the next round versus SSX, if we can come to the agreement.
I think SSX does have to win, even though it's going to piss some people off, and Resistance...
I don't know that it's really going to. I think a lot of people...
Resistance is fun, guys.
It is, but I think there's a lot of SSX fans that are going to be watching this and be like, no, you guys got that right. You guys got that right. I just look at like the impact it had. You go back to this era, PS3 360 era. I don't know if you're going to play a first-person shooter... 2021, I don't know that you're going to grab Resistance Fall of Man.
Yeah, there's so many others you grab.
It's a cool game, and if you want the historical context, it's a good playthrough. I played through Resistance Fall of Man 1 and 2 in 2020.
And it was fun.
It was fun. I liked it, but I wasn't like, oh my lord, this is one of the games I'm going to go back and play all the time.
And once you beat it, you weren't like thinking about it.
No, it got to a point, I enjoyed it thoroughly, I feel like, through like the first few levels, because it was like, oh, I remember this. And then it got, you guys know those games where you get about halfway through and it's just a grind.
Repetitive.
And it's just like, I just want this game to be done.
Yeah.
I'm over it, but I got to keep going because I got to beat it. If I start a game, I'm going to beat the game. That's kind of how I felt with it. I like the second one better.
Same with SSX,
yeah.
But I think SSX has to move on. So in the next round, we have two PS2 games fighting against each other.
Yeah.
Tekken Tag Tournament versus SSX. That's going to be intense because they're both incredible games.
And in the comment section below, let us have it.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about the decisions we're making?
Rip us apart.
I know probably the most controversial pick in this series thus far has been us putting Breath of the Wild forward against Wii Sports.
Which was shocking.
Yeah, I cannot
It was a
believe the
tough
Wii
decision,
Sports fans, but it's weird because of the polarization.
Yeah,
there was
huge.
no middle ground comments. It was
People
like,
were
you guys,
fuck you or fuck you.
yeah, there was,
Like,
there's people like, you guys, if you had picked Wii Sports over Breath of the Wild, we would have asked you to mail us your nut sacks. And people are like, how the hell did Wii Sports not move on? That's what's fun. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one, and they know how to use them. So, yeah.
Whoa, speaking of using it, let's talk about this beer by Clown Shoes, one of our favorite breweries. This is the Haze Cake. It's a hazy double IPA by Clown Shoes. I love the can art. And I love Clown Shoes.
We scrolled through our spreadsheet that we've kept over the years. We kind of feel like we maybe have reviewed this on the channel before, but we couldn't find it on our spreadsheet.
I don't think we have.
But we have done a ton of Clown Shoes.
We've done a lot of
brews,
Clown Shoes, and I've looked 2 to 3 to 4 times.
Yeah.
So I don't think we have.
But we know, I think maybe we bought it and drank it before we reviewed it.
Yeah, that's
what I
think.
We
There's a lot of beers that we move over to the beer side for episodes that we drink because we run out of other beer.
Sorry, not sorry. But you're the IPA guy. Let it rip.
So this is a hazy double IPA, so you get that hazy element, that juicy element. It's a double, so it's an easy drinker. It's filtered. It's delicious. Clown Shoes, man. There's like a sweetness to this. It kind of reminds me of like cake.
Yeah.
I mean, it's called space cake.
There is like a... I don't...
a frosting? Or
I get a very sweet, like, candied element to this on the finish. The hops kind of smacky and the juiciness right on the front. But there is something very unique. It's a unique twist where...
To a typical hazy double, you know?
Yeah, I get this, like, flavor profile that really does this. It, like, just, like, flips around. It's sweet. And, you know, for Clown Shoes... I've had so many memorable beers from them that it doesn't surprise me. I've never had an IPA or a hazy IPA like this.
Yeah.
This is completely unique, and I've also never had 2 Clown Shoes brews where I was
that
like...
are similar.
Yeah, where there's a lot of breweries that kind of get this secret sauce or their roux, and they kind of can replicate that over various beers. You're not getting that with Clown Shoes.
No, Clown Shoes, it's
everything's a unique endeavor.
When you hand someone a beer and they're like, I can't tell who this is, but it's good. It's usually Clown Shoes.
Yeah.
Like, they're so good at all these different avenues, and they don't have a distinct taste.
Yeah.
They are so good.
I'd say IPA fans, you're gonna want to check this one out.
Yeah, this
Clown Shoes
really
is
good.
Fairly limited but well distributed, if that makes sense. So we can't find it all the time, but when we do, it's like we get like a shipment in our area, and then there's like 3 or 4 offerings, and then we never see them again.
And then it's like it's sometimes it's beers we've never reviewed before, but sometimes it's like, oh, we've seen that one before.
Yeah. So keep your eyes peeled for Clown Shoes. But anyway, guys, we hope you were enjoying Launch Title Madness. This has been an awesome series, and it's just going to keep moving forward. I think we've got this booked out through most of May.
Yes, this is going to be a month or 2 months out. I think, if I'm doing the math right, there's going to be a total of 15 episodes.
Yeah.
And this is only episode 6.
So there's a couple things I want to ask, and you guys can tell us if you made it this far in the video. You guys are the real freaking OGs. You're the real freaking subscribers. As we move forward and get ready for episode 7, we've kind of had the hamster on the wheel about getting, once this is completed, the Madness series season 1 and 2 put out on a physical form on DVD. And folks that would be interested could purchase, and they'd be signed copies mailed out. We've never done anything like this.
This is just an idea we had, and we're like, hey, the series doesn't do that well, but it's one of our favorite series. People seem to enjoy it.
Yeah, it'd be extremely limited print.
Yes.
And it would be sold probably like on our eBay store or something, because we don't have the means to get it mass produced. But some of you watching are big physical media fans, so let us know, because the series doesn't perform super well on the channel, but those who watch it, I feel like, really enjoy it. So let us know, and it would be really funny for you guys to watch this question on DVD form. You're watching it on DVD.
And you're like, I already have it.
I can't do anything to help. But I just kind of want to know if there's any interest there before we invest and we go down that rabbit hole.
I think it'd be kind of cool.
And then we need to talk about episode 7 of Launch Title Madness.
Next episode. This one's going to be tough.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of racing involved.
Yeah.
Not all racing.
We're not huge racing game fans. We like arcade racers, futuristic racers, which kind of check the boxes here, but we have 1.
Yes.
2, Switch.
Versus F-Zero, which one of our favorite series of all time for racing.
No, don't give anything away.
Then we have Forza on the Xbox One versus Ridge Racer on the PlayStation 1. Both iconic series, both iconic games. Things are going to get revved up.
Yeah, and then I think after that, what do we have? 1
Or 2 more.
Before we get into round 2.5, because we had that little preliminary
rounds in it, yeah.
But man, round 2 is going to get psychotic. But anyways, we appreciate you guys tuning in, subscribing to the channel. Blow us up in the comment sections. Tell us how you feel. Tell us how you really feel.
Ooh.
Don't hold back. Let it rip. It's okay. And we'll see you next time. Right here on Launch Title Madness. On the one and only Gaming Off the Grid. 1 or 2 more episodes before we get into round 3.
2. Let's look at these fighters.
Go to that camera and say, let's look at these contenders. Because we said fighters last time. Did you pow pow?
Yep.
Chicka chicka pow pow. Alright, let's try this bad boy. Why do we always assume that beers are boys?
Because they come in fucking stiff
Well,
hands.
let's try this bad girl. See?
It just sounds gross
Yeah.
when you say that.
Yeah, it's like, oh, she tastes like a good girl. But it doesn't sound as weird if you say, oh, she tastes like a good...
Yeah, she tastes like a good boy.
oh, man, he tastes like a good boy. I mean, I think people like are more accepting of that.
Is it because we're boys?
I don't know.